Working with U script is tricky.
Tough. Great fun.
I found it fascinating. I think it's a brilliant process. It's so different from anything that I've done before and really illuminating. It's quite hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people have been saying it's sort of just a complete lack of context.
Yeah.
You don't really know what's going on in the scene when you receive the script. You know what your character's thinking, but you don't know what that's in relation to, so you often don't understand the lines until the dress rehearsal.
When you're sort of at home, it's fine because you think you know the lines and that's all lovely, but then it's sort of like cutting out the initial stages of normal performance where you would have read it through and heard it on stage with other people lots of times, and then you sort of would maybe do the kind of line, you know, going through and through and through, but you sort of do that bit first, which means that you realise as soon as you walk on the stage that you've no idea what's going on at all. So it's easy in theory, and it's sort of not so hard to reel them off when you're sitting comfortably with a cup of tea, but very hard when it comes to actually putting it on for the first time.
The most worrying thing about it is when you just don't really know so much of what's happening in between your bits. So you're used to just thinking, oh, you know, I've got 20 minutes before I come back on again, or even when you're on the stage as well, and you kind of know, I know he's got about 5 minutes left of this speech, you know, I can just go to bed for a bit. But it's, yeah, you have to pay attention more, and I think that makes it quite exciting.
Learning lines with no contexts is difficult. I'm used to being given an entire script, to having 2 or 3 run-throughs on stage, blocking moves. So when I come to learn lines, I know who my other actors are, I know what they're saying, I know where they're positioned on the stage and where I'm positioned. I've got a vague idea of the set. I know that I've got a certain speech at the top of the left-hand page and my next one's in the middle of the right-hand page. I know all the dialogue in between. And then you come to learning from a cue script and you have none of those anchors, none of those contexts at all.
I think a lot of it was fear that it might not come together. Actually, I think having done rehearsals yesterday, it's not been quite as hard as I thought it was going to be. But that fear was quite telling. And last week, sort of privately, as I was trying to learn the lines, was quite stressful. We have this sort of phrase talking about bell jar acting in the theatre today, and this notion of actors who only act within their own sphere and don't give very willingly to the overall presentation of the play. And that's surely a much, much larger pit trap here, when you've got the sort of the adrenaline going, thinking I've got to get my thing right and I've got to get my moment in the limelight, at the risk of doing that at the expense of the storytelling. So the apparatus and the competence of the playwright is really tremendously impressive when you think about it in those terms, that it anticipates and circumvents that actor's desire to be the star, even if he's third sphere carrier from the right.